Alright, so now fourth time trying to record this intro. Sorry, I'm just getting a little bit hissy because, well, the first two times I recorded the intro, had to re-record it because, well, whatever. And then had to record it another time because the right mic wasn't being used to pick up my fucking voice. Which I realized might have been the same thing for maybe the past few videos I've recorded for these podcasts and everything. Nothing I can really do about it, and I'm certainly not going to re-record them. But yeah. Um, so episodes 14 and 15 of Kamen Rider Zeztz. So yeah, I decided to watch the singular upload of episode 14 and then watch the stream of episode 15. So yeah, although I had to rewatch the first few minutes of episode 14 because I completely forgot the order of events and some other things that happened during that. Then episode 15, I had to rewatch the first few minutes of that as well because, well, not rewatch. I came in 15 or a few minutes into the episode and missed some key plot stuff. So yeah, so I had to wait until that episode wrapped around again so I could watch that. Then I ended up watching most of the rest of the episode. So yeah. So episode 13 continues where episode 14 continues where episode 13 left off. And we get Baku basically being trapped within his own mind, and he's wondering whether or not to actually use the powers of the capsums because of what Nox told him in one of the previous episodes about them having the power to bring or to make nightmares real. So yeah, or bad dreams, make them real. So yeah, but Nem is there, and she tells him that basically he always tries to do what's right for humanity, and his heart is warmed by her words. So yeah. So he's resolved to still use the capsums. Then Zero calls him and tells him his next mission is to eliminate the enemy. And he asks, is the enemy Nox? And who is he? But Zero doesn't want to tell him, and so it just is being cold to him, saying that the agents have to carry out their missions with no questions asked. So, yeah. I kind of expected that to lead to maybe some argumentation or some other stuff that gets Baku questioning code and everything, but nah. So yeah. So to get out of the, basically it's a dream, I believe, that Baku surmises that he's in, and so Nem asks what his nightmare was, or when did his nightmares begin, or his bad dreams or whatever begin, and Baku tells her it was when he was younger and he got struck by lightning, which is what happened to him. So yeah. Um, so we see that as well, but before that we see young Baku, going to a cram school. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically a school that is basically kind of like tutoring to an extent, from what I can gather. It's basically an extra school designed to help students focus on their core curriculars and everything, their core classes, and basically help them just basically do better at school. Hence the term cram being used, at least in English. So, yeah, I had to look that up because I wasn't exactly sure what a cram school was, but now that I think about it, the word is apt. So, yeah. So then the teacher that Baku has turns out to be Nox, or Kensei Otaka. So, yeah. And Baku is surprised by that because he doesn't remember that part of the school at all, and he's wondering why he could have forgotten about that. My personal thing is, I think like it's not surprising that he forgot or that he would have forgotten, because I'll be completely honest, while I do remember some of the faces of the teachers I had in like school, I don't remember all of them. Uh, and some of their names I don't even remember. I'd have to look them up in like my school yearbooks. So yeah, not too surprising to me, but he's still wondering why he didn't remember that part. And yeah, he basically surmises that the um the memories were like, I believe, stolen from him or deleted or something like that. I can't remember the exact wording. But yeah, so then after that, when we see young Baku getting struck by lightning, uh, we see young Baku again going through there, and oh yeah, I forgot about this. A nice little thing is that he's holding up a manga. I don't know if it's a real manga or not, but he's holding up a manga that is basically, from what I surmise, a spy manga, which is that's cute. That's a nice touch. Um, but yeah, and young Baku is basically crouched to the ground, hoping he doesn't get struck by lightning while it's raining. Nem goes over to try and comfort young Baku, and then older Baku has a blank capsum that he's holding, and he resolves to, I think, defeating the nightmare or getting over his bad dream or whatever. And so he rips his younger self away from Nem, and he holds up the capsum to the sky, and when the lightning strikes down, it gets absorbed into the capsum, and turns into a usable one that he can use with his Zeztz driver. So, yeah. So that's honestly really cool. So then we catch up with Nox, and he's fine to go back to the real world, and we see his body in the real world being um, basically kept on life support as he's in a basically a coma. I'm trying to remember the right word for it. A voluntary coma, I believe, or something like that. Medically induced coma. There we go. Because they keep having the shots of the IV drip that's hooked up to him somewhere, probably through his maybe his wrist or his hand or something like that, being fed into him through the tube and everything. So yeah, but he can't wake up. And there's a thing about the ring that he's wearing, basically. I'm assuming that that's a thing he was given to be able to wake himself up from the coma when the time was right. However, it's not that simple. So, he gets transported to the same cram school class that Baku was just in, and all of the doors close around him. And he challenges the Nightmare to come and fight him. And he transforms into Nox Knight with the with the Night Invoker, and basically starts fighting the Nightmare, but he can't really defeat it, unfortunately. So then Nox tries to tell himself that he's not afraid and he'll get back to the waking world before the Nightmare fades and Baku steps in and everything. So then Baku basically challenges him to a rematch and uses the new capsum he got to transform into Zeztz Inazuma Plasma. So yeah, so basically the new capsum gives him the powers of the Flash, and in all honesty, it kind of reminds me of on top of the Mjolnir reference. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, Mjolnir is floating around in Nox's dream, or not Nox's, Baku's headspace dream mind palace place earlier on in the episode. I said that in the previous take of the recording, but then I forgot to this time, I'm pretty sure. So here we go. So, yeah. Um, but this personally kind of reminds me of the Flash, mainly Justice League Flashpoint, where uh, I think was it Wally West, whichever Flash it was, gets his powers back by recreating the accident that gave him his powers in the first place and getting struck by lightning. That allows him to tap into the Speed Force and everything. So it's very interesting that not only are they pulling from like spy films and thriller films and all that, they're also pulling from other superhero media in regards to like origins of some of the powers and everything. So yeah, so then because it basically gives him the powers of the Flash, he uses the super speed to defeat Nox, who can't keep up with him. And there's something I like about the sound mixing as well during this part of the battle, where partway through, when he's hitting Nox with his own fists, the sound is slightly delayed by like a second. And I like that. I actually kind of like that. With the fact that he's using super speed, of course the sound would be a second later than when his hits collide with Nox's body and everything. So yeah. So then he charges up his weapon and uses the charged electricity to hit Nox and basically weaken him to the point where he can't really do much. So yeah. However, while I believe Nox is demorphed, Baku gets demorphed as well because of the fact that his attacks used up all of the or most of the energy that the Capsum had in it. Nox tells him that the powers of the Capsums will inevitably kill him and everything. But Baku grabs a hold of him and asks him about what was going on. Why were they in that cram school together? And everything. And Nox says that he's starting to remember, and that he erased a deep darkness inside of him. Meanwhile, in the real world, Fujimi and Nazca see a viral video about a random lightning strike, I believe, as well as the fact that it gets dark way too early at about noon. And which I gotta say, they could have easily shot part of it at night if they wanted us to believe it was night. But granted, also I think it's more so supposed to be overcast and everything, because Fujimi for some reason thinks it's midnight, even though it was literally just daytime. But yeah, so they go to investigate that, and Minami talks to Zero about Baku and everything, and I think I said this earlier. Maybe I didn't. Basically, slaps Zero's like robot body, which hurts her hand, obviously, because yeah, and he doesn't feel it, obviously, and basically just tells him that, or to not make his brother or her brother a murderer, and all he cares about is helping people. So yeah. So then back in the dream world, Baku tries to press Nox further about what's going on, or what darkness was erased in him. And Nox says code. The organization turned their lives into one big nightmare. And he tells Baku to protect himself before he gets swallowed by shadows. Or just a shadow. So yeah. So next up, episode 15. It picks up from where the last episode left off, obviously. So then Baku goes back to the dream version of the agent headquarters and confronts Zero over what code is, or what their objective is, and who Nox is. Zero says that their objective is world peace, and that the agents for the agency, obviously, uh, work in a gray area, basically. As for who Knox is, he used to be code number 4, an agent, and but to make no mistake that he's still using the nightmares to try and take over the world. So yeah. So um yeah, so then we then see Knox, and he's still in his coma, obviously, and he has a flashback to I believe a year prior, on what I'm assuming was his last mission for Code. And he basically had no capsums, that the capsums, I guess whatever capsums he had ran out. It's really weird. He tries to make the Night Invoker work, but there's no capsum in it, so yeah, and it seems like the power sort of gives a feedback on him as it zaps the thing off of him and makes it, and puts it on the ground. So yeah. So then back at HQ, Baku puts the Zeztz phone down on Zero's desk, and still says to him that they really are just sort of disposable agents, all of them. And that basically the agents that the agent he aspired to be, was to just help people and everything. Zero says he won't criticize his ideal, as he says. So yeah, so then, but Baku says he'll complete his mission, which is to eliminate the enemy, and he pulls out all of the capsums that he currently has access to, minus the recovery capsum, I guess. I guess they just didn't make another one of those for some reason. I imagine he'll probably get it back at some point in the future, because it seems weird that he hasn't gotten it back yet. But yeah. So yeah, and Zero gives him a power-up capsum, saying to use it on Knox. And yeah. So then we see Knox again in the dream version of the room that he's asleep in, and Nem shows up there. He asks what she's doing there, and she says that the dream cast her in a role in that. But yeah. So then she asks if the darkness is what he's afraid of, but he tells her to shut up and basically just has her go away. So yeah. So she meets back up with Baku, and Baku crashes into Nox's dream. And when it seems like he's going to challenge him to another fight, he says that Nox, or his mission is to eliminate the enemy, but Nox isn't really his enemy. So yeah, he puts on the Zeztz driver. Nox is about to put on the Invoker, but the Nightmare crashes the party, and Baku obviously challenges the Nightmare to a fight. So yeah, with the new capsum and everything. So yeah, so he transforms into the Izuma Plasma mode, and then starts fighting the Nightmare. His powers start glitching out on him again, and he quickly switches capsums to make sure that everything's fine. Then when he finally transforms back into the plasma form, he uses the boost capsum that he was given to basically, I think, vent the, I guess, the energy that was starting to hurt him and everything, and uses it to destroy, or to kill the Nightmare. So yeah. So then he also saves Nox with the barrier capsum. So yeah. So then uh, after that, uh, meanwhile, Fujimi and Nazca uh, get to where, or are tracking down through the weather and the lightning and everything, where Odaka is in in the or in the well yeah in the real world. So yeah. So then, um, after the fight is over, Baku asks Nox why he was giving him all the warnings about code, and he says he did so because basically echoing Baku's words from earlier that his problems are with the agency, not the and the agent for them has done nothing wrong. So yeah, because when Baku was saying the stuff about uh, his enemy being the nightmare, he says that the dreamer, Nox in this case, hasn't done anything wrong. So yeah, nice bit of poetic symmetry there. Um, so yeah, uh, quote George Lucas, it's like poetry, it rhymes. So yeah. So then after that, Nox takes off the ring that I'm assuming was keeping him in the coma. I They don't really explain that, but I'm assuming through the fact that he was wearing the ring and they focus on it multiple times in the episode. I think in the last episode and this one actually, that it was what was keeping him tethered to the dream realm. That's the only thing I can really think of. So yeah. So then, Nox Otaka wakes up in the in the real world, as does Baku. Uh, Minami basically uh, beats on Baku for what he was doing. He sees that his closet door was open, as was the doorway to the HQ. Um, and he tells her that he's sorry for worrying her. And she just tells him, I believe, to be careful and everything. So yeah, so then Fujimi and Nazca get into the house or it's called a tent area, so but it looks more like a cabin. So yeah, the cabin where Otaka is. Unfortunately, he's woken up, so they don't really catch him in anything. And yeah, when Fujimi comes into where the bedroom is, uh, Otaka comes out with a gun, tells him not to move. Stupidly, he does a little bit, and says something. Luckily, Otaka doesn't shoot him. But yeah, Nazca comes in as well. Uh, Otaka throws him over to Nazca, closes the door, says he's got to do something, and uses I believe, the invoker to delete the lock on it so they can't get in. And we see him go to a lair where a woman known as the Lady is. She greets him. He said and asks him how it is to be back in the living world or back in the waking world. He says that the whatever between the waking world and the dream world is still a little blurry to him, and she says that he'll get over that at some point. So yeah, um, basically she kind of like just monologues about how code is gonna be destroyed in the future. So yeah, um, yeah. So that is actually the end of it. So Yeah, so pretty good episodes, I would say, overall for these two. I really liked how we got. Well, we kind of already knew some of these things because the audience was told about the stuff with Otaka and him being in. I think him being an agent, I think, was already revealed in a previous episode. Um, if I'm remembering right. So yeah. Um, and or at the very least, he's more than he seems, and yeah, definitely seems like his whole purpose with being in the dream world was to get the Night Invoker back and use it for his own purposes and everything to fight Code and Baku on an even playing field. So yeah, even though in the dream world he seemed to be pretty strong against Baku already, I'm assuming that's just from dream logic and everything. So yeah, also has a nice bit of character development and backstory for Baku where he gets over um, the stuff that happened to him when he was a kid and everything. So hopefully, as we move forward, that'll keep him feeling better and everything. And then, in regards to Otaka slash Nox again, the flashback with him being an agent and everything really does kind of shed a little bit of light on why he doesn't like Code anymore or why he's not on their side and everything. I will say, I'm hoping that in the future, in a future episode, they show exactly what happened for him to like lose the capsum for the Invoker because it seems kind of like really stupid of him to try and use it without a capsum in it. I mean, like the fact that he was clicking on it so much, no wonder the power like backfired on him, or not backfired, just zapped the thing off of him and everything. I don't know. It just seems really dumb to me for him to have done that. But granted, he was also kind of in a desperate situation and everything. I will say as well, I think it's stupid for Code to seemingly have um, no other agents that they can call for backup when an agent is in trouble. It's also weird to me that, like, for one, he's number 4. We get 0 and we have 7. Who are the other 5? Who are the other 5? That is my question. Because obviously there would be 1 through 3 and then 4 and 5. Or, no, 5 and 6. So, who are the agents that they recruited between Otaka and Baku? And then, who are the ones before them and what happened to them? That's kind of the question. It kind of seems like maybe they were still around when Otaka was code number 4. It just spitballing here. Maybe we'll get them in the future. Maybe they will be other Kamen Riders or other heroes they may introduce. Because I know multiple Kamen Riders per series is a thing and has been since the original series, actually. But yeah, and like, but I don't think we've had a shit ton of Kamen Riders since probably the 2000s. Maybe it was Ryuki. But yeah. Um, and then maybe it was a series after that. I can't remember. But yeah, that's just a thing that I'm just wondering now thinking about it. And and yeah, we get a cool new power up for Baku, which is definitely something for Otaka to take stock in and everything. So yeah, um, and yeah, looks like I was slightly wrong in terms of my prediction with what they were going to do with Minami, because of the fact that I said that it kind of seemed like they were going in like Jazz from Danny Phantom direction with her. They didn't do that, but they still do have her acting, I think, more realistically and better than you would expect from a show like this for a character like her. And that I very much appreciate, because they could easily go into the trope of like over worrying sister who's annoying and gets in the way. So yeah, I'm very much hoping that she doesn't devolve into that, and she just, while worrying about Baku, tries to keep at least a level head about it. And then we could get maybe a little bit of drama around that. I'm already assuming that the next episode's gonna start with them having a conversation about everything, and him explaining to her everything. At the very least, that's what I would assume that they would do. But we'll see what happens. So yeah, so saw the next episode preview as well with the Shout stream. The next episode isn't going to premiere until January 4th, so we have about, that's 2 weeks, right? Maybe 3. So yeah, actually I think 2. So yeah, so the next podcast episode won't be until about 3 weeks after this one goes live. So yeah, don't worry, I'll have more podcast episodes out. I already have one recorded for the next, which, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see these, or you can listen to these podcast episodes early by supporting the Patreon, just as low as $1 a month. So yeah, that's if you want to. Eventually, when I get monetization going on this channel again, or on my main channel again, because I have it for my gaming channel, I'll have these up for like a day, maybe, before they go live on the channel. But yeah, for just as low as $1 a month. But yeah. So yes, we have all that. And yeah. And then I also peek behind the curtain. I also am looking to watch and do podcast episodes on the 90s trilogy, since I did the 2000s dyad, as Media Blasters called it, and everything. So yeah, but the trilogy has Shin Kamen Rider Prologue, Kamen Rider Zo, and Kamen Rider J. So yeah, or Zo, Zeto, however you say it. But yeah, looking forward to watching those. So yeah, so if I do like these episodes, and I like the action in them as well. I do like that they are kind of invoking a bit of CW Flash for this, from the clips I've seen of some of the action sequences from that show. The super speed is really cool. Really did like that as a power-up. I also do like that it seemingly has a short time span in which Baku can use it. So yeah, either that or maybe its battery is running low, because it seemed to be supercharged by the lightning from Baku's dream. So yeah, and now that we have Otaka revealed from Nox and everything, and we're moving that plot line along. Can't wait to see what they do with Nem, because she's obviously still a real person. There was a bit of dialogue that the lady, as she's called, has, where there's a butterfly floating around, that I'm pretty sure is supposed to be one of the nightmare butterflies, probably the one from Otaka's dream, and she says if the butterfly was dreaming they were a human, or if it was a human dreaming they were a butterfly, which I'm just like, I'm confused by that line of dialogue. I'm assuming it was maybe supposed to be a little confusing. I don't know if that was supposed to be aimed at Nem or not. I don't think so, because we already got confirmation that she was a real person. So yeah, which actually, now that I think about it, Nem being, actually I don't know if she was, I think she was only a model. So yeah, or maybe she was an idol. But it gives me kind of flashbacks to Kamen Rider the Next, now that I think about it, because the main female character of that movie, or one of the main ones, that causes the plot to happen, was an idol and everything and all that stuff. Obviously their stories are different, but kind of just gave me a little bit of a reminder of that one. So yeah, now I think about it. So yeah, so guys, I don't really have much else to say. So if you're watching on YouTube, links in the description, all my shit. Subscribe if you want. I'll see you guys in the next one.